Okay, everyone, I just wanted to show you real quick how to work with the image size dialog box. Um, you should have read the chapter by now, chapter 2 in the textbook. And for this week's assignment, you need to take a photo of yourself. This should be a good quality photo, a self-portrait, or one that you have someone else take of you. You can have a friend take it. I have a selfie I took with my iPhone real quick, just to show you how to do this, but you should use a higher quality photo. So the picture I took is here on the desktop, and there are a number of ways to open it in Photoshop. You can go find your Photoshop app. Once you have Photoshop open, you can go to File, Open, and then find the photo you took wherever you saved it. Or you can drag the photo to the application on the taskbar here at the right and open it that way. I don't have Photoshop there in my taskbar, so I am going to open it by right clicking or control clicking if you don't have a right mouse button, and going to open with and clicking on Photoshop. There it is. It's a photo of me, a really bad photo of me, for those of you who didn't know what I looked like. And by default, the crop tool opens up. They assume you want to crop the image in some way by cropping it using these handles here somehow. But we don't want to do that because we want the highest quality image we have. As we read in the textbook, the higher quality image is what you want to work with. You always want to work with your highest quality image. So rather than deleting pixels, which is what happens whenever we crop, we're taking away pixels. We want to have the photo already framed up really nicely by whoever takes this photo of you, so that it's a nice close up and you don't have to crop it at all. So it by default wants us to crop. So we just leave everything the way it is, go to image, crop, and that just takes away the crop tool, lets us see just the image. So we want to take this image and we want to go to image up here at the top and go down to image size to bring up the resizing dialog box. It appears here, and you can drag it around to look at it. That's what it looks like at 100% size. You can shrink it down with this little minus sign here to get it to a size that you can see the whole image. We can see that the file size for this is 3.52 megabytes. The dimensions are 960 pixels by 1280 pixels, which is the default that the iPhone takes. This can be displayed in terms of percent. That's a 100% size image, or inches. It's a 13.333 by 17.778 image, or centimeters, millimeters, points, or picas. We will stick to pixels. Then you can fit to various predetermined sizes. 960 by 640. These are PPI. 960 by 640 pixels, or 144 PPI. PPI stands for pixels per inch. Or there are various standard paper sizes in DPI, which is dots per inch. So usually when we're talking about printed images, we're talking dots per inch, and when we're talking about screen images, we're talking about pixels per inch. There's also, if it's a photo, standard photo paper sizes: 4 by 6, 5 by 7, 8 by 10, 11 by 7, 11 by 14. These are all 300 DPI, which is the recommended DPI for printing. You can create your own custom presets. We're going to leave it the way it is here, fit to original size, but we're going to alter some stuff here. So it's 960 by 1280. We can see that in, again, percent, pixels, inches, centimeters, millimeters, points, picas, or columns. We're going to leave it in pixels. And this little chain link here links width to height. Basically, that constrains the proportions. So if we click on that, it unlinks the two. And so if you were to type in now a width of 100, the height remains 1,280 pixels high, but it squeezes it down to just 100 pixels wide. So if we click on Constrain Proportions, it keeps the aspect ratio here the same, 960 by 1280. So if we were to change it to 100 now, it would shrink down to 100 wide, but it would also shrink the height to 133 pixels high, so that it would maintain the same image ratio. As you can see, it's highly pixelated because it's very small at actual size there. But we don't want to do that. So we will go back to what we had, 960 by 1280. 72 is the resolution, and that can be in either pixels per inch or pixels per centimeter. We want pixels per inch because that's the default. 72 is the magic number. That is the resolution for things on the web. So we want to put it at 72. Keep it at 72 anyway. 72 is the default. As you see, if you roll over it, this little hand lets you really specifically change that resolution up and down by dragging it left and right while clicking. But we just want 72. And then there are different ways that the image can be resampled to make it bigger or smaller. Resampling is using some pixels to represent the pixels surrounding it. So there's automatic, preserve details, which is better for enlargement, bicubic smoother, which is better for enlargement, bicubic sharper, which is better for reduction, and then you have other options like for smooth gradients, bicubic. For hard edges, like we wanted to keep these books nice and sharp, we would choose nearest neighbor or bilinear. Bicubic smooth gradients would make sure that the shadows, like here on my forehead, stayed nice and smooth there. But since we're going to be reducing this image, we pretty much we want bicubic sharper, which is going to give us the best image for reduction purposes. And then we decide what we want to reduce it to. While leaving the proportions constrained, I want to change it to 640 height by 480 width, which is much smaller, but it's good enough for what we plan to use this image for. So 640 by 480 is what you want. And then when you click OK, it's going to reduce it here in the window. So then we want to save that. We go to File. We don't want to save the file by clicking Save, because that would overwrite this nice big image with our newly made small image. We always want to keep our high resolution file for later use. Remember, we always want to work in the highest resolution, and we can save at a lower resolution. So save your original image. To save this as a different file, we go to Save As. Then we can change the name here. I'm just going to call it Eric Photo Web, and then you can choose where to save it. If you click this, it'll give you a bunch of different options, or you can choose the drop down menu here. I am just going to save it to the desktop. You can add in tags to help you remember it or find it easy. And then you choose the format. There's a bunch of different formats here: Photoshop format, large document format, BMP, which stands for bitmap, CompuServe GIF, DICOM, Photoshop EPS. We'll be talking about that file format later in the semester. IFF format, JPEG, JPEG 2000, JPEG stereo, multi-picture format, PCX, Photoshop PDF, Photoshop RAW, Pixar. Yes, that is the Pixar that you're thinking of. PNG, portable bitmap, Cytex CT, Targa, TIFF, Photoshop DCS 1.0, and Photoshop DCS 2.0. We'll be talking about some of these formats later, but for today, let's just stick with JPEG and as a copy. And then for color, we learned a little bit about color profiles last week. If you recall from your textbook what a color profile is. You can choose to embed the color profile sRGB IEC 61966-2.1. I just call this sRGB, and as do most people, sRGB for short. sRGB is a color profile that embeds data in the photo that lets other devices, including web browsers, know how to display the image with proper color fidelity, so that the photo looks the same in different browsers. So we want to check that to embed the color profile and then click Save. When we do that, it brings up the JPEG options. So the image options, you have quality. You can change the quality by dragging this slider to the left or to the right, or entering a number from 0 to 12 in the quality box, or choose three standard from the standard choices here: low, medium, high, or maximum. Maximum, as you can see, maximum and above is higher in file size, but better quality. JPEG is a lossy compression system. So what that means is it lets us create a smaller file size, but we lose file quality. So I generally recommend for the web high, which keeps us usually to around 100K, which is a good file size because it'll load nice and fast in most browsers almost instantaneously. So it's not so big that it'll take time to load, but not so small that the quality suffers. There are different ways that an image can be formatted to display. You don't need to worry about this too much right now. Just leave it at baseline standard. And then click OK. And you'll see it has appeared here on the desktop, so that we know that it's there. Now, when we go to close this out, we can just click the red button here to close it out. But when we do that, it's going to ask us if we want to save it. And we don't want to save it, because if we were to save it, it would overwrite this lower quality image over our original file. We don't want to do that. Remember that we always want to keep our highest quality photo, our highest quality image to work on, and then we can always save a version at lower quality. You can never go back once you lose quality. So we always want to save our highest quality, which means we don't want to save this photo that we've reduced its quality. So there you go. You should now have, if you follow those instructions, you'll have a photo that you can upload as this week's assignment. Thanks. I look forward to seeing all of your photos.